talk to the legends of the creative and entertainment industries. We talk to those on the rise. Steen Anthony Nielsen asks about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. This is Outcast Creative, and this is Industry Interviews.
What's up, people? Today I get to do a great interview because the whole point of this channel, if you've just got to know about it, is that we support emerging creatives, emerging artists, if you like, people who are, I like to call them struggling creatives, struggling artists. I'm a struggling artist myself. It's quite difficult to make a living as an artist, whether you're a writer, whether you're an actor, whether you're a musician, whether you're a DJ, you might be a singer, you might be a song producer. And unless you're at the top of the tree, you're fighting your way up to get recognition. You're fighting your way up to be seen. And an important part of that fight, if you like, is obviously getting what exposure you can. And the whole purpose of this channel is not only to interview people who are at the top of their game, but also interview people who are on their way up, or have talent and show promise and are acting on their own initiative, are doing their own thing, are doing their thing with their artistic endeavors. This is exactly the sort of thing that I personally like to support. It's exactly why I like doing this channel, because I get to meet creatives from all over the world, and not only that, I get to talk to them and sort of show off their wares, so to speak. It's almost like a market in a way. And you know, I love the people that support my channel. I love the people that come along on my lives, and I love the people that come in and sort of chat when we're doing a live. And one of those people was Rachel Pearcy, and fortunately for her, her name in the chat was Rachel Pearcy Art. So using my amazing powers of detective deduction, I figured that she might be an artist, and I put Rachel Pearcy Art into Google. And what came up was lots of artwork for Rachel Pearcy Art, or Rachel Pearcy Artist, if you like. And I thought, well, there's an artist in my chat who's supporting my channel. How can I not support them? So I said, Rachel, we've got to get you on. She was all very like, this guy's not really serious. Of course I'm serious. I'm Lance Nielsen. So I was absolutely adamant we should get her on at some point. And yeah, so here she is today. Welcome to the Outcast Creative.
Hey.
How was that for an introduction?
That was great. You really sold it well.
Well, thank you very much. So Rachel, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna show your art off to people, and I'm gonna show pictures from your Instagram account, which I assume that's okay because we've already put the link for that in the blurb below. But before we do that, before we show your pictures and stuff, I've got some standard Outcast quickfire questions to ask you. No right or wrong answers, just to get us an idea of what your own creative journey has been in the world of sort of film and media, TV culture. So, without any further ado, can you tell me what the first movie was as a kid that you remember going to the cinema to see?
The first movie I remember is Jurassic Park, and it still remains my favorite movie to this day. I could watch it 100 times a year and not get bored.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a big movie soundtrack guy, in case that didn't come across. Yeah, good for you. Jurassic Park is an absolutely stonker of a film. What was the last film that you bought a ticket to see at the cinema?
Sadly, well, maybe it's a good thing, but the last movie I saw was Return of the King. That's the last time I went to a cinema.
Return of the King. That is a cinema experience. Now, was that on re-release?
No, that was when it was first released. And I mean, if that's the last one you're going to see.
Was that 2002?
Yeah, it was. I think so.
Okay.
Around there.
Since The Sopranos, so you're not allowed to pick The Sopranos. Since The Sopranos, has there been a groundbreaking television drama series that you've gone, wow, this is great, I have to watch every episode? And if so, what?
Well, I'm kind of a TV fanatic, so there's a lot that I could answer that question with. But Game of Thrones was really it for me until they disappointed me immensely in the last season.
We could
But
do a whole discussion about the disappointments of Game of Thrones. But
yes,
are you watching House of Dragon?
I am.
I'm quite enjoying House of Dragon, I have to say.
I am. I'm really enjoying it. There are differences, and being a book person, I
Yeah.
point out all the differences, but I still love it.
And I should say, for any budding authors watching, Rachel is available to design the covers for your books. That's one of the commissions that she can do. And I mean, if you can't, you can now, because I've just said you can. So, yeah, okay. That's a good choice. Game of Thrones, okay. I mean, has there been like that kind of crapped out at the end? Has there been a perfect one? Where
Oh,
you've seen the whole show and you've gone, oh, that was good, that was great. I mean, it's The Shield for me. Wonder if you.
that is a great choice.
That is a good
That
choice.
really is a
Isn't it?
great choice.
Glad you approved. That's a good show. That
One that I absolutely have no complaints about, maybe 1883. I can say nothing bad about that show.
that's a nice self-contained single season. Obviously, it's got spin-offs. You know, it's kind of a prequel to 1923, and it's a prequel to Yellowstone and so on. But yeah, that is another good show. It's on the shelf behind me. Fantastic. What was the first record? And you I know you're in your 30s, so you may not well be brought up in the era of vinyl, but do you remember the first music album that you purchased?
Oh, the first album I bought for myself.
Yeah.
Ooh, that might have been the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Batman Forever. That's the one with Jim Carrey, right?
Yes.
Do you know what? I actually really like that movie. I know a lot of people don't like that film, but I really liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. We had the cool speedboat, had the cool batship, and yeah, I liked it. I liked it. Good, had a cool ending. Yeah, okay. Batman Forever soundtrack. All right. What is a song that will get you on the dance floor?
Oh, a song that will get me on the dance floor. That's a hard question.
It is a hard question, but this is the Outcast Creative where we ask the hard questions. So I'm going to have to push you for an answer.
God. I can't even think of one now that I'm thinking of.
Give me a song that makes you tap your toes at the end of the bed when you're chilling out. It comes on. Oh yeah, I'm starting to do a bop here. What's going on? You know, can be something really cheesy. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Honestly, one song that gets me every time is oh my goodness, it's a silly choice, but it's by Jonathan Young. It's just on YouTube, and it's "Fight the Tide." I love that song.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that. I'm gonna have to look that up.
It's one that came out a couple years ago.
It's picking Daft Punk. Yes, it's not your interview though, Wormy, but I appreciate the I'm just checking. I'm just going to check on YouTube, and all that's coming up is loads of live streams about a massive shooting near Florida State University. I hope that's not too serious. Have you heard about that?
Oh goodness, I haven't watched any news yet today. I try to avoid it, honestly.
Give me the name of the song again. We won't get distracted by that. Give me the name of the song again.
Fight the Tide.
Fight the Tide.
Yeah, it's kind of Viking metal.
Viking metal. My God.
Yeah.
So okay, so I see the people. Is this one of those ones where they go? Is it that kind of shouting level, or is it? Can I hear the lyrics?
You can actually understand the lyrics on this one.
Is it leaning more towards Bryan Adams?
Yeah. It's one of the tamer forms of metal.
Yeah. I've got it. It's it's one of these kind of it's almost got like a bit of a sort of hippie metal vibe going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
this would probably work quite well in an episode of Vikings. Okay, all right, well, there you go. So people wondering about Rachel's taste in music, if you're looking to purchase Rachel a spontaneous Christmas gift, potentially the greatest hits of Viking metal could well be your choice. Okay, final one of the quick fire questions. Do you have a standout favorite actor or actress whose work you will generally try and watch? You know, like, oh, Tom Cruise has got another movie, I'm going to watch it. Who is your equivalent?
Well, he is on the list. There's nothing that he does I've been disappointed by.
I mean, you always know two things about a Tom Cruise movie. He's going to punch the air and he's going to run.
Yeah.
You're going to get to see Tom run at least twice, possibly 3 times, but definitely once in a Cruise movie.
But my favorite actor is Russell Crowe. It doesn't matter if it's a bad movie, I still enjoy it.
What's your favorite Russell Crowe movie?
Ooh, that's tough. Gladiator is definitely up there. It's up there. 3:10 to Yuma is there as well.
3:10 to Yuma is a fantastic film that not a lot of people have seen. And they used the set from Silverado for that, which I think we talked about on a stream that you were in the chat about, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people look at that and say remake, ew, but no, it really is a worthy remake.
Yeah, it is.
It actually is a good movie.
I have to say, I think it's better than the original. I wouldn't say that about many. All right, let's move on to your art. Let's talk cats, baby. Here we are. So, because I've tagged Adele Andea in this stream, she may even tune in. Who's the mistress of cats on the rave scene? Good choice, Amadeus Dread, by the way, Master and Commander. That is a good Russell Crowe movie. So for the benefit of everyone watching, Rachel is a graphic designer / artist, and I want to caveat all the work we're going to look at here. You're going to look at some digital productions, but there's no AI. There is no AI involved in any of the work you're going to be seeing this evening, which of course would be a major cop out. Everybody's doing that sort of shit. And I believe you started off as a traditional style artist with paintbrushes and that sort of thing. Do you want to just kind of talk us into your early days of being drawn into art, how that all started for you?
Well, for me, art has just always been there. There's never been a time that I wasn't interested in making things, like even to my detriment sometimes. But
we'll come back to that. We like to hear about detriments.
Yeah.
Please continue.
But as soon as I was offered the opportunity to take art classes, that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted to do. If I could have done that just and done nothing else, I would have been a happy person.
Right.
So probably from the time I was 12, I've been devoted to doing as well as I can. Sometimes not the best, but I think I've gotten to a pretty good place with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite impressed. I mean, we'll get onto that in a minute. But you did start off, you know, with the world of paintbrushes and that kind of thing.
Oh yes.
And did you do pencils and charcoals and that sort of stuff?
Yes, I have graphite works. I have charcoal. I work in acrylic and oils. I still do traditional art, but I also have this thing about, well, if I make a mistake and I'm using actual paint, fixing that is a problem. That's primarily why I started doing digital. Because if you make a mistake, you can just fix that. And you don't waste anything.
No, well, that I mean, that's true. You know, do you still fall back to the hand drawn materials from time to time? Do you do the odd charcoal piece or painted piece, or is it just
Oh yeah. Every picture that you see on there started in my sketchbook, and I would sketch out how I wanted it to look and just go, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'll just get out my digital sketch pad, and we'll work on that. So
Here's
everything there.
sorry, continue, please. I interrupted. Please continue.
It kind of is a blend of traditional and digital because everything started as a traditional piece. And sometimes the digital works are going to get redone into a finished traditional piece. It's just whatever I feel works best for it.
Sure. I was going to ask, how big is the stack of your, and this is coming from the son of a graphic designer, so I know what I'm talking about here. How big is the stack of your original sketchbooks? Because most artists never throw their sketchbooks away. They just accumulate in large quantities. And
Well,
do
I
you have
was
a
one
big
of those
stack?
people.
Yeah.
I was one of those people, but I sadly lost a lot of my sketchbooks.
Oh, what happened to them?
Water damage, a lot
Oh,
of it got destroyed. And that is heartbreaking when you open a sketchbook and it's pretty much been erased.
right.
And so now I've pretty much had to start over. And that's another reason why I went digital. I will hopefully never lose anything.
Sorry, just having a coughing fit while I mute myself there.
I
So,
heard that's okay.
no problem. Yeah, well, such is the dangers of living in a Tornado Alley in the American West. So, okay, so so you got some art lessons. Now, when you say art lessons, what was that? Was that a college course? Did you have one-to-one? I mean, just talk us through that a bit, and how long did that last? Oh, great to see Jacob Ironside in the chat. Hello, buddy. I know you've been going through a rough time, so just sending you love and a big hug, because I hope your situation is resolved. He was having to move out of his current accommodations, and it was all very stressful. So yeah, so take us back to those. You said you got art lessons. Talk us through, what form did they take exactly?
I was very lucky to have a teacher in school that really encouraged me, and she became my art teacher.
Do
And
you want to give her a shout out? Should we say her name?
her name was Mrs. Farrell, Mrs. Anna Farrell.
Okay.
And she's retired now, but her art is what I aspired to be able to recreate myself. Her style was amazing to me. And now I look at it and I'm like, I think I've done it. I think we're good. We can stop now. But when I was when I was 12 and I first moved back to where I live now, she caught me. I was sketching in class because I really didn't like school. And all I did was draw or write most of the time. And she caught me and took my sketchbook, which was like ripping my heart out. And she said, you really have potential. Why don't you sign up for my classes that I teach? And then you can start taking formal art classes through the school as well. So I did that from the time I was 12 until I graduated. She was my mentor from very early on.
Right. I think key characters like that who inspire you, whether you're an aspiring actor, you want to be an actor, or if you're a musician, you've got a great music teacher. I mean, these characters, these people are so important. And it might be that sometimes they measure their life of, they're creatives themselves, teachers who've gone into the creative arts. So drama teachers, art teachers, music teachers will all be creatives themselves. And invariably, they're probably measuring the success of their life by their own achievements in terms of, how far they've succeeded as an actor performing, or whether they've had any of their art put in a gallery. But I think the true the true measure of success is when people inspire others. I've seen that recently in the music scene that I'm involved in. Sort of established DJs inspiring younger DJs to do their thing and passing that baton, so to speak. I think these people are so important. That's why I said, do give her a shout out by name, because these people are key. They're key to sort of nurturing one's goals and ambitions. So, have you always gravitated towards a certain style or topics? I mean, tell us about. We'll go through some of these in a minute in more detail, but tell us about the things that you've always been drawn to, and maybe other things in your life that have affected those choices.
Oh, I have a deep love of fantasy.
Right.
That's what I read. That's normally what I watch. And as far as my style goes, I just wanted to do as realistic as possible, but have the fantasy elements in it. And I just wanted to make beautiful things. I don't really have a message beyond that. I know that a lot of artists, they're like, oh, this is what I meant by this. But truly, it's just I want people to look at something and feel happy, feel like, oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I love that scene. That makes me feel joy. That's all I really want from my art. And if I can make somebody happy, that makes me happy.
I think that's very laudable. I've just added to the scrolling text here that you're a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, as are many people on this channel, and rightly so. You have to be a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in order to subscribe. I mean, so for example, I know you do commissions. So for example, if one of the people watching was like, oh, I'd quite like my own painting of the Battle of Helm's Deep. That's something you could do, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, I have done big commissions, and I would happily do something like that. That's right up my alley.
Yeah. So book covers, epic fantasy scenes, I think characters from fantasy stuff, looking at some of the
characters.
Yeah, this one looks remarkably like my ex-partner's sister, and then you've got another one that looks remarkably like my ex-partner. I don't know what's going on there, but great stuff. Tell us about this one and why you did this one.
This one started out as a commission. It was going to be a commissioned piece. One of my friends wanted a portrait of her daughter.
Right.
And sadly, that fell through. So I looked at it and was like, this is just so beautiful on its own. And even if she can't purchase it from me, the actual painting, maybe she could afford the print.
Right.
So I put it up there and was like, you can still get it. It's not your daughter's portrait, but it's close to what you wanted.
It's inspired by her, so to speak.
Yeah, it is inspired by her. It was just the feeling that she gave me. Like, just a beautiful woman.
Yeah. No disagreement from me there. It's quite interesting that started out as a commission and you finished it anyway. Tell us about this one. This kind of reminds me of Poison Ivy a bit from Batman.
I have done a portrait of her, actually. I just don't have it posted anywhere.
Right.
I keep a lot of my fan art to myself, or I share it with a couple people. But this one, it started as a physical sketch, and I fell in love with succulents for some reason. I can't explain it. But I was like, what if she was just surrounded by mounds of succulents? And it started as a sketch. I think I posted the sketch on my Instagram as a comparison to this one. And I finally felt this year like I was able to finish it. Like my skill level was where I could finish it and be happy with it.
And how long did it take you to do that piece?
Oh. Well, the initial sketch I I think 5 years ago. But to finish her out, it took me 3 months to finish her.
3 months. Wow. And that, I mean, again, this is using digital tools. So obviously, you know, you're not just whacking up paint on a piece. Do you remember Paint? That was quite a basic program. Settle them. You can
goodness.
pick a few colors, and you got the size of your brush. And I mean, I imagine that with this, are you uploading sketches which you're then bringing to life, or how does the software for this work?
For this one, you can upload your sketch. You can do that. It depends on what program you're using. Like if you use a simpler one like Pixlr, I've used that before for like sticker art, or if somebody just wants a logo, I will use that because it's not as taxing on your computer. But for something like this, I use Adobe Fresco because it gives that actual oil paint look. It has more depth. And is that aloe? That's not aloe, Jamma. It's a specific species. I can't remember what it is now.
They're succulent. That's good. That's a good comeback, Wormy. It proves you've been listening. So wow, okay. So I mean, this piece took you quite a while then.
Yeah, it's a big piece. It's bigger than I usually do. Because the idea just stuck with me, and I couldn't get the idea out of my head.
It's almost like a woman's face emerging from one of those ponds with like lilies and stuff on the surface. You know, that's kind of what I thought when I first saw it. And it, like again, I said, it kind of reminded me of Poison Ivy as well. Let's take a look at a couple of others. I know that this one will be popular with the male guests, because who doesn't like a dog in a cowboy hat? I mean, you know, I mean, surely. Oh, bless you, Amadeus. He's just subscribed. Thank you so much, sir. I very much appreciate that. Do check out the other industry interviews. There's a real cross section of people from the creative arts, including some very big people. But let us refocus here. Who doesn't want a dog with a cowboy hat and a bandana? I'm trying to work out what's is there like a hidden compass in the thing in the middle? I'm trying if that's got like a secret sort of corgi James Bond device.
I don't.
Not quite. Maybe I'm just interpreting the art as I see it. But yes, I mean you're predominantly a cat person, so you know. But the dogs have snuck in here. Is this a commission? Was this another commission?
No, he was inspired by our dog at the time, who we had for 18 years, and he was the best dog ever. All dogs are compared to this dog, you know. And he was just the best boy, so I had to paint corgis for him. Yeah,
my friend has it's not a corgi, but they're a similar similar breed. Not quite tiny, but not quite as tiny. Called Freddie, this dog is, and I've got some great videos of me and Freddie. Unfortunately, they're on the other computer, which is causing me a lot of problems right now. But they are very funny, and he's got the face of this dog, which is why I wish I could dig one of these vids out and show you. But yeah, definitely got this dog's face with a real character.
They are.
Yeah. Oh man, you say you had him for 18 years?
Yes, his name was Pudgy.
Pudgy.
Yep.
Man, that's tough. I have a friend who's got a great dog called Hugo, and I met. This is my friend Matthew Holmes, the Australian film director. In fact, you've been in the chat when he's been on the channel, and he's got this lovely dog called Hugo, and he got the dog just after I met him, and me and Matt have known each other for coming on over 10 years now, and I've kind of seen the dog like growing and getting older and older, and I'm like, it's getting in that getting in that last third of the dog time. I need to get to Australia pretty soon so I can see Hugo while he's still around, you know?
Yeah.
No, that sounds nuts, but it's kind of a bit of an objective for me at the moment.
I completely understand it. So
you've had dogs and cats. You're on both sides of the camp.
I have had all kinds of animals. I've had everything, it seems like, from fish to ferrets, cats, dogs, rabbits, birds. Just we're an animal family.
So did your dog, I have to ask, did your dog have a specially designed hat that, like this one, where the ears could protrude?
No, he should have. He deserved it.
Oh, bless. Fantastic. So as you can see, these are available as like canvas prints, frame prints. You know, you can find all this stuff on artpow.com at Rachel's link. Now we move on to Hobbit accommodation section. And in fact, this one is actually called Little Cottage in the Shire. And I think those hills in the background might be a bit too tall for the Shire, unless you're kind of implying that that's the beginning of the edges of the Misty Mountains. Yeah, so I mean, as you've said, you're quite a fan of Lord of the Rings. So I don't think we need to ask where the inspiration for this came from. Have you been to New Zealand?
No, I wish. I'm one of those people that never goes anywhere. But if I could, that would be where I'd go, just to visit Hobbiton. I would love to.
It's on my, I have to say, it is on my bucket list. I kind of plan on doing a Australia, visit Hugo, go to New Zealand, visit Hobbiton. My life is complete, sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, once you see the Shire, you know.
Yeah. Now this is my, I mean, this is like the Lance house. I like this one. So, you know, because it's got enough accommodation for me to have everyone round for a movie quiz and dinner. So, and put them up. I feel there's enough rooms in this one.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of room in that house.
It's quite interesting. If you zoom in, you can really see the. This is, you're telling me this is digitally created, but when you zoom in, it really looks like kind of painted brushstrokes. We've got a little horse in there, which I didn't see before.
Yeah, I try to put as much detail into something, so even if you get really up close to it, you will always find something new. And I try as hard as I can to make sure that there are brush strokes.
Yeah.
Because you want it to feel like a painting, even if it is digital. It needs to have that same feel of painting.
I actually don't know anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are people, but I don't know. I've got other artists on my friends list and things, but I don't, you know, they're either doing one or the other. They're either doing original pieces of brushstroke artworks, you know, off the computer, physical stuff, or they're on the computer and it's very much digital recreations that it doesn't have that sort of paintbrush feel like you've been able to recreate here. And I really like that. This one is perhaps a little bit more digital because it's a face. So I guess you're trying to achieve that photographic look with a print like this, right?
Yeah, that's one of the earliest ones that I did on digital. And I, looking at it, can see the problems with it, and I know that I've gotten better since then.
Okay,
but I still love it.
We'll quickly move on. This is the one that looks like my ex-partner. I would have actually, you know, if we'd still been together, I probably would have got her this as a present. But again, is this an early piece?
That one is a little bit later than the other one, like maybe 6 months later.
And how long did that take you to do, start to finish, not including the initial sketch?
I think I spent a month on her. Like, I hop back and forth because I can't focus on one thing for too long sometimes. So a lot of these were done around the same time. Like, I think that one, and I think the one above it I did at around the same time.
Do you find when you're doing these character portraits, I guess I'd call them. When you're painting them, do you find yourself talking to the characters?
I make up stories for all of them. They are all living and breathing to me.
And does that help you kind of imbue the face with emotion that feels like it's come from a place of reality, because you know the background to this character, be it that
Yeah.
they've escaped from the castle of the evil prince, or are about to conquer the universe, or whatever.
Yeah, it
Amadeus
really
Red
does.
is saying she does beautiful art. I've been a fan for a long time. So this person's come to my channel with care of you see. It's a
Yeah.
symbiotic thing. We do love that. We love symbiotic support in the universe.
I actually did his channel logo, so he has been a fan for a very long time.
All right. Well, that's good to know. If I need a new channel logo, I will be in touch. I do quite like this one. This one's got a kind of a bit of an Avatar vibe going on, and I'm a big fan of Avatar. I mean, I okay, the second movie was a little bit of a letdown, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed going back there. Tell us what's going on here. What inspired this one?
She's very Egyptian science fiction tech inspired. Like,
Yeah,
she's a
kind of
blend of all of it.
Stargate, right? You're a Stargate
Yeah.
fan?
I
Yeah.
am. I love that too.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Stargate fan. I've not watched the whole TV show, and I feel like I probably should. I've seen enough episodes to get the gist of it, and I heard it got pretty epic as it went along.
It does.
It's
It's a great series.
It's just a big commitment of time, Don't know if I can commit that time, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. And you've got a few more in a similar vein here, kind of this sort of cyberpunk. Again, this is more like Egyptian tech, quite like this one. Again, Stargate is an inspiration, I'm guessing, again, perhaps.
Yeah, it is. And this one kind of, I wanted to have like a horse motif. That's why it kind of has it's supposed to be like a horseshoe in the back, but it ended up being a portal. It became something it wasn't intended to be.
Right.
The more I looked at it, the more I was like, that looks like a portal.
Well, on Stargate, in my experience, things often become something that they were not originally intended to be. So you never know. So I mean, talk us through like how a commission works for you. If okay, so say I came to you wanting a specific piece. I'm not an artist, so the closest brief you're going to get from me is stickmen. I'm making this quite a tough assignment for you here, but I kind of have a description. How would the conversation start? Would it be like, would you ask me to then maybe provide photos or of pictures of other sources of something like what I want, so you've got a bit of an idea, or would you go away and knock up some sketches, or how would that work?
If you have an idea of what you like a style that you like, I'm more than happy for somebody to send me examples of what they like. I'm not married to my art style, as that was the perfect time to pull the Lisa Frank attempt up. But I'm not one that's like, oh, it's not my style. I'm not going to do that. It doesn't work for me. But if somebody has an idea of what they like, they can send it to me and we'll talk out what I can do. And if I can get close to that, I will try to. But if I have to give them something that's just in my style, I will give them that option too. I typically don't send sketches because I've had a bad experience with that. I like to work and get to a point where I think it's good enough and be like, is this kind of what you like? It doesn't have the finishing touches on it yet. So if that's not it, I don't feel like I've lost anything. And I can go back and rework what you didn't like and get to a place where you're happy with it and I'm happy with it.
Very good. that process from beginning to completion. I know it's a bit of a how long is a piece of string question, but let's say for a typical portrait piece, let's say the brief is somebody gives you a photo of themselves and says, yeah, now what I want you to do is take my picture and come back with a cool kind of Blade Runner-esque portrait of me with kind of cybertech gear on my face and kind of, make me look cool. And maybe they give you some other bits and pieces, and you say you're coming back with a piece that's probably this kind of size. What start to finish? What kind of time span are we looking at there?
I would give the turnaround of about between 2 to 4 weeks for something like that in that size.
And again, I appreciate it's a how long is a piece of string question, but what kind of money would you charge for something like that?
Oh.
And that question has just been asked in the chat by Proctify. How much do you charge for custom portrait commission? So like I said it here and it echoed there. And again, we appreciate no one's going to hold you to this price. But give us a ballpark. So I think basically people in the chat are saying, can I afford it? I quite like one of those.
Well, here's the thing. I will work with someone on a price. I will. Like, I don't have a set price. Like, if you say, I can afford to pay $50, well, I'll work with you. I have no problem working with you on your budget.
And you might get like a stick man portrait for $50, but for $250, you're going to get a better portrait.
Well, I try not to do it that way, but honestly, the lowest I've gone for something is $50, and the highest I've gone, the current commission I'm working on is $275, and that is a big landscape commission.
Right. Okay.
But a portrait, $75 to $100 usually, depending on size.
That's a good ballpark price to throw out there for people. Gives them an idea. You can go and check your bank accounts now, guys. While we're here as well, let's just give your buddy's channel a shout out, because we do that on this channel. We shout out other channels all the time. There's the Amadeus Dread channel, who's currently in the chat. You like your trance, sir? I do approve. I'm at a trance rave tomorrow, so there you go. And there's various commentaries and things like that, plus some Top Gun stuff. So Amadeus Dread, I'll put the link for that in the chat myself. Did you, when you said you designed his logo, was it this thing with the skeleton and all of that?
Yeah, I did the banner and the logo for his channel.
There you go. So, okay, I'll whack that link in there for people. Do hit the subscribe button for Amadeus Dread if you like their content. Check it out. Let's move on to your more rainbow-esque stuff. Landscapes. That's the word I was looking for. Landscapes. Have you seen Mr. In Between, the Australian TV drama series about the hitman who's also a single dad and has a daughter?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
There's a great scene in that where the daughter is upset. She comes home from school. She's upset because someone has told her that unicorns are not real. And he gets really annoyed and he says, no, unicorns are fucking real. They're just really hard to find. And he drives her up to these woods, this forest in the middle of nowhere. And he says, look, I know where to find one. And they go into the woods and they see this unicorn in the woods. And he says, you can go and strike it just for a little bit, but they're really shy. And so she's like blown away by this. It's amazing. He says, right, head back to the car. And then his mate like pops up from behind a rock and it's like, okay. And you can see the unicorns the unicorns had its horn stuck on with super glue on this white horse. And
oh my goodness.
This could well be a picture of that very action, because also like the paint coming off the mane, they've given it like a rainbow colored mane, and you can see the paint coming off and shit. It's but it's such a beautiful thing. I love it. I love that scene. It's like such a great thing that a cool dad would do. Yeah, Jamalama agreeing. I love that show. Yeah, it's a good
That's
show.
every little girl's dream, that she has a dad that would do that.
I can't recommend that show more highly. Mr. In Between. We've done a special on season 1. I think we'll be picking it up again at some point. So are you a fan of the unicorn?
I am. That's probably one of the first fantasy things that I even remember caring about was unicorns, like every little girl probably. But yeah, I do love unicorns.
Was this inspired by your dad taking you up to some remote woods and seeing a unicorn in the woods? I don't know if your dad did that for you.
Sadly.
Don't want to dispel any realities here. But,
no, sadly, I didn't have a dad that would do that.
Is this one of your earlier pieces?
It is. It's when it started on social media. Everybody was being nostalgic for Lisa Frank, and I was like, I remember that color scheme. I wonder if I could just go ahead and use that in different things. So I did.
Right.
But I had to do a unicorn because I love them. I used to collect them, which is ridiculous, but I did.
And this is clearly the world where unicorns would live. You can see also there's a salt and pepper shaker up on the right here that some giant left behind. This is very kind of, as you say, it's very Lisa Frank, isn't it? That was this was I remember the time you're talking about. I think we're going back to kind of MySpace days, right?
Oh, it could be. It could be that far back.
A bit of an explosion of color on the internet, and everybody was kind of chucking up stuff. And Lisa Frank, she's still around. Famous for her multicolored explosions with her art. I always liked. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but I'll show you in a second. I always liked the one with the seal. Do you remember the one with the seal and the seahorse?
You'll have to show me, but I bet I've seen it.
This one. I always quite like this. I thought this was good.
I had that on a binder.
So, yeah. I'm a big fan of starfish and any kind of aquatic stuff really, because I'm one of those kids that used to go searching through rock pools for creatures and whatnot. And you got the camouflage fish here. You got a puffer fish that's not puffed out for a change, and you got the seahorse. I do love seahorses. They're really cool. And of course, when they mate for life, as they say. I think they're one of the few sea creatures that do that. She's a bit of a phenomenon. So this was your Lisa Frank phase.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through a rainbow phase and a Lisa Frank phase.
And have you ever met her?
No, I have not. I have not been lucky enough.
If you did meet her, and you were at a Q&A and you had a chance to ask her one question, what question would you ask her?
What inspired her? Because that's some of the first art I remember. Not anything from the great masters of the Renaissance period. It was, ooh, I love that. It's so bright and beautiful. And it was Lisa Frank.
Well, I'd love to say we're about to surprise you and Lisa Frank's on the phone, but I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not.
Lance.
Yeah, never. I tell you what, though, if I can get her to come on the channel for an interview, you can be my co-host for that interview.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
That's a promise. So, because I normally have a co-host. I mean, it's quite useful just in case my internet dies, which does happen from time to time. By the way, if that does happen, just keep waffling on until I come back. But
okay.
Yeah. So this question has been asked. None of this artwork is AI based. So do you just want to talk through how you create it? You did mention it earlier, but I'm assuming this person has just joined us. So just talk us through the process. You sketch something out in your sketchbook.
Yeah, I have a paper sketchbook and graphite pencils, and that's where it all starts. Just the nugget of an idea. Sometimes it's not even a good sketch, I'll admit. Sometimes it's a terrible sketch, but the idea is there. So I'll take that and I'll be like, this has potential, and I'll put it into the computer and I'll push it until it is what I'm proud of. If I'm not proud of it, never sees the light of day.
You mentioned the name of one of the software programs you use once you've put your sketch into the computer, which kind of gives you a framework of what you're working on. Remind us of what that was again.
I use Adobe Fresco.
Adobe Fresco.
Or Pixlr. Like this one, this is one where I first started. And I was using Pixlr. And I tell people that and they don't believe it. Because if you go on there, you really have to fight it. You have to fight it to get it to this.
Right.
And at the time, I wasn't working because I couldn't work. I was sick at the time. And I had a wealth of time on my hands. And I just fought that program until I learned how to make something.
Right.
This one I worked on so long that it has an entire story behind it. I stared at it.
In terms of what's going on in the pictures. In terms of well, as soon as I saw it, for me, it was like, this is crashed UFO. This is like a modern Roswell occurrence, and of course, I'm the big thing I want to see in my lifetime is the full UFO disclosure. Of course, it's starting to snowball now, and of course, we're getting more and more sightings of UAPs. We're getting more whistleblowers. We've done several streams about that on this channel. I really hope that stuff all comes out in my lifetime, because there's so much conflict in the world right now, and I'm a big believer that actually one of the things that unites the human race or tends to make them put down their firearms is when they suddenly feel a bit smaller. I think if we suddenly realized we weren't alone and aliens literally landed on the White House lawn and came out and said, hey, how are you doing? I think you would definitely see a dissipation of conflict in the world, because people would sort of, I don't know, I just think it would diminish. It's not going to stop it. Of course, there's too much hate out there for that, unfortunately, but I do think it would diminish, and I think we'd be on a road to becoming a better species. It looked like that was happening in the 90s, and then I don't know, we kind of all went a bit wrong.
Other things happened.
Truth is that other things did happen. We kind of seemed to take some steps backwards. Pike would like to know what brushes do you use for the dreamlike look? So I suppose you have brushes for your original sketch, and then you have brush tools within the software.
Yeah. Pixlr, you don't have any brush settings. You just get what they give you. Unless you want to pay a ridiculous amount of money. And I don't have a ridiculous amount of money. So this is just the basics on Pixlr. This is the basic brushes.
Is Pixlr and the other one that you mentioned, was it Adobe something?
Adobe Fresco, you can use their basic brushes because they do have oil paint texture brushes.
Are these software packages, are they monthly subscription based?
Adobe is. Pixlr is completely free.
Yeah, I hate it that they try to make everything subscription based. It's like when I bought the software for writing my book, or writing my books, plural, which is on Vellum, which is specifically for Macs. The thing I loved about it was it's one price, you bought it, you never have to pay for it again. And I'm like, yeah, right, because, you're not going to be updating it every month, dude, because, a book is a book,
Yeah.
Knows how to format the books. Thanks very much.
How many bells and whistles do we need? Just
Yeah, exactly. Not too many. So not too many. Okay, go. Well, we've been chatting away here. We're almost out of time. So let me jump onto a few other things. Yeah, Critter, the dogs with hats are always cool. I agree, man. Dogs full stop are cool. So this is this link is art.com, Rachel Pearcy art. I'll whack that in the chat again just quickly. People can have a look at those. We've got some stuff that's kind of suggestive of ancient Greece here in this one, I think. Is that what's got? Is that more Egypt? Maybe that's more Egypt.
It's a blending of cultures. I like to do that.
And then we've got a portrait of Critter Kingsford, who's in the chat right now. There we are. That's what he looks like. So that when the moon comes out, if you look at his profile picture, he's normally a tiny hamster, but when the moon comes out, he morphs into this thing. So Northern English Bastard is here. I did invite him to come on and say hi. He's got the link actually. My wife would love the dogs with the hats. Well, mate, a unique birthday present. I'm just saying.
You know where to get them.
And Rachel's Instagram. Here we are. So there's a lot of other things on here which are not on the other one. Particularly in the portrait. I mean, this is very Game of Thrones, this one, isn't it? This is very kind of one of the princesses.
It is.
Game of Thrones, extremely striking woman that you kind of, look into her eyes for 5 minutes and you'll fall in love with her kind of thing. This reminds me of Zendaya, actually. I don't know if that's intentional.
Is kind of based on her, just because I wanted a bone structure that would go with what I was going for, and she had it. She had the cheekbones and the narrow chin that I was looking for, and I was like, you know what, you're going to be a sci-fi heroine today.
You know what, I met her after the June premiere at the after party. And she was really lovely, very nice person. I spoke to her very briefly. I was drunk as anything, but I just about managed to string out a coherent sentence because they were serving like proper good quality champagne. And
you have to when they do that, right?
Knocking back glass off the glass of this stuff like it was orange juice, And I just talked to her briefly about this film she shot in lockdown, this kind of two-hander about these two people arguing in this house. Mm-hmm. But she was really lovely. I reckon if you did a really souped up version of that as a print and you sent it to her agent and just said this is just a gift, I reckon she'd be dead chuffed with it as long as the gift gets past the gatekeepers,
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Doesn't arrive back at your house 4 weeks later saying we can't accept this. I mean, it's not like you're sending her a script; you're sending her a gift,
right?
Or just maybe tag her on social media with it and do it even more Zendaya. Like, now this, I'm going to tell you what this is. This is The Last Snow bollocks. I know exactly what this is. This is the lamp from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Can't lie.
Yeah, first book I ever read as a kid. I think that and The Hobbit I read sort of fairly close together, but The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was definitely the first. And
that might be the first complete series that I finished when I was a kid.
Do you know, it's funny, I've never read all of the other books. I think I've read one or two of them, but I've never read them all. And I should probably sit down and I should read them. I bought my goddaughter the set of those books, actually. Got a really nice set that was in a I think someone's sending Morse code somewhere. Check your keys. You might be leaning on your keys. I picked up a really nice set from a charity shop. So we got Boba Fett here, or Mandalorian, or whoever it may be.
That's Mando when it first started, and I still liked it.
Yeah, I quite liked it when it first came out. That picture alone is better than the entire Book of Boba Fett series.
Oh goodness, that was such a disappointment.
God, wasn't it? It was.
Oh.
Yeah. I was more disappointed than Captain Disappointed of the good ship Captain Disappointment. Now, I mean, I have to ask this: why did you do a picture of a cat displaying it first. And it looks like it's flying over a load of alien eggs from Alien. Is it? The cat's wandered into the alien lair. One of the alien eggs has popped open. My God, maybe if I jump into the air and show my genitals, I might scare off the face hugger. What's going on?
I'm part of a Facebook group where people send in their pictures of their animals and are like, Photoshop them in a weird location. And there you go. That is all I could think of, is these particular rock formations in China and this cat doing kung fu. That is all I could think of.
Okay. I'll accept that explanation. I'm not entirely sure how valid it is, but I'll accept it. I think this one is based on a younger version of you.
She kind of is, actually. She does look like me when I was younger.
There you go. So, well, you're only in your 30s. You're not like old like me. You know.
Once you get closer to 40, it feels pretty old.
Well, listen, cling on to those years. Don't start thinking about the 40s while you're in your 30s. Just enjoy the 30s while you're there. Don't start thinking about the later years. They'll come soon enough. Trust me.
True.
So we've got all the links of where people can find you. We've talked about your commissions. If anybody tuning in now, if you missed about that, play the stream back. You'll kind of get a sense of how much Rachel charges, the kind of stuff she can do. I would probably say that no job is necessarily beyond her means. I mean, you know, from octopuses kidnapping ducks to, you know, Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe to princesses and everything in between. I mean, as an artist, you know, and we're all struggling artists, what is the life goal for you? What's going to make you happy?
I would love to be able to make this my living. I know that's a pie in the sky dream, but I would be happy with that. But if I never get there and I can just make a few people happy with something they get to look at every day and they're happy with it, that's good enough for me. That is perfectly fine with me.
Well, yeah, people watching, I mean, do check out Rachel's work. And if you want to send her a commission, or if you're a creative, you've got a film poster or a book cover that needs doing, I would suggest look no further. And this is interesting here. Is this like a shot of something being created?
Yes, that is an in progress of the one above it, I believe.
Right. In fact, let's have a quick look at that. So the one above it would be. Are you talking about this one?
Oh, yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's her in progress.
So there you go. It's not AI. Proctofile says he'll definitely be in touch. So, in other words, you're going to be commissioned to do an attractive woman with a big cabina. That will definitely.
We can do it.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Oh, the inside man is here, just in time to say hi.
Hello.
Hello, mate.
Hello. Yeah, I'm sorry I got in a little bit late, but
that's all right.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here, and I've been looking at some of your work, Rachel. It's absolutely staggeringly good.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Really, really quite amazing.
This is coming from a man who's worked in art design and production design in the British film industry for over 75 years. or close, certainly close to that.
He's a card.
Many decades.
That's why we love him.
Yeah.
Inside Man, I was literally about to wrap up. So do you have a question for Rachel before we... and in fact, that's nice because that gives me a chance to dash to the toilet. Do you want to fire a question away before we?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at what age did you kind of realize that you had some kind of talent for this? When did you sort of think, hang on a minute, you know, I'm actually pretty good at this?
Well, I started really working at it when I was 12. Before that, it was just, basic kid art. And by the time I was 18, I really thought that I had a shot.
Yeah.
Like, I could do this. This could be a thing for me.
Yeah. It's incredibly impressive, I have to say. I mean, very, very impressive. I mean, this is kind of top tier art. It really is.
Thank you.
It's quite wonderful. Um, so so in terms of commissions, so for example, if I were to commission something from you, um, how long would you need to spend on a commissioned piece of work? Obviously, it would depend on the complexity, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Like a portrait like her, 2 to 4 weeks is what I try to shoot for.
Yeah,
If
that's
it's
pretty good.
Yeah, well, she's a relatively small picture.
Yeah.
She's like a 10 by 10, I would say. Uh, if it's a big landscape, I'm working on one I've been working on for 6 months
Yeah.
because I'm a perfectionist and I
Yeah.
can't quit until it's
Yeah.
where I want it.
Well, no, that's pretty cool. So this is only 10 by 10, you're telling me?
Yeah, because it's digital art, you can pack so much detail.
Yeah.
You can really get in there. And a small image can look like it's really a huge piece of art, but it's
Mm.
relatively small.
Yeah, I would not have said that this was those dimensions. I really wouldn't. I mean, it's quite something. Um, so, um, what would be your dream commission?
That's a
Oh,
great question.
goodness. My dream commission. Whew. If I could do a truly epic fantasy book cover, that
Mm.
would be it for me.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the art that inspired me.
Yeah.
Because I started reading fantasy novels, and how do you pick a book? You pick
Yeah.
from the cover.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely true. In fact, that was going to be my next question. What is your major inspiration for your art? I'm assuming that you do read an awful lot of fantasy still.
I do. It
Yeah.
is that is my passion. That's what
Mm,
I write the most. That's what
mm,
I read the most. That's what I love is fantasy.
mm. And so you write as well.
I do.
You do. Wow. Oh no, I think we got somebody really rather talented here, Lance.
I agree. Well, I mean,
Goodness
I
me.
I try not to get untalented people on because the
Yeah.
conversation tends to stifle quite quickly. So, you're kind of okay.
Yeah.
That would be challenging. I mean, we're here to support struggling artists, but we're here to support talented struggling
Oh,
artists.
you put a sticker set out last month. Tell us about that. Oh,
So,
goodness.
yeah. Well, listen, it's been fantastic having you on, Rachel, and indeed, I may get you on as a panelist when we have appropriate discussions, which I think your contribution would offer something. For example, I'm pretty sure I've got a couple of authors coming up soon, so might get you on for that, and we can look at their book covers. It's interesting what you said about fantasy novels, because they were particularly popular with the explosion of Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s, where when D&D really took off with the red box set and the blue box set. Those people that are in their late 40s will remember. And around that time, things like the Shannara Chronicles was a big seller. Terry Brooks, boy, did they butcher that TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the Thomas Covenant books. I don't know if you remember those. Forget the name of the first one, but it was the Thomas Covenant show, sort of saga about this guy who in the real world is dying of cancer, and then every so often, he'll go under, he'll go into a coma, and when he's in a coma, he has this whole other life in this fantasy world where he's kind of he's on this quest.
I've never read those. That sounds really interesting.
And then there was David Eddings books.
Yeah.
He did a big series, which I seem to recall ended very anticlimactically, rather, and a lot of people were kind of annoyed.
That's never a good thing.
No, probably right, didn't get. And the Dragonlance trilogy was was the first D&D book big seller, which was actually based on a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And I'm amazed that I'm still sort of baffled as to why they haven't made that storyline into a TV series, because it's old hat in terms of the plot. It's very Lord of the Rings, but it's Lord of the Rings with dragon riders. And then of course you've got Dragon Riders of Pern. That was another massive fantasy book series. I don't know if you remember.
McCaffrey.
And McCaffrey, that's right. And I used to have a Dragon Riders of Pern World Guide book. But the thing that always determined me purchasing a book or not purchasing a book was I turn straight inside and I go, has the book got a map?
Yes.
Does the map look cool? But these were I used to own all of these. I really wish I hadn't sold these. I don't know if they'd be worth something now. But these were the Dragonlance modules. And the covers of these were great. Seems like Etsy is selling a load of them. But the covers always depicted scenes from that actual adventure. So you knew that was going to be coming, whatever that was. In the story, and I used to have all these modules, and D&D modules always had a certain smell from the paper, the printing, that kind of gave a sense of the adventure within. I had all of these. I did. Has anyone ever played through them all? So we played the entire campaign from start to finish, and lots of the characters got killed in the final battle, and then I did a kind of after summary of what happened to all the characters. But I bet you'd like the artwork for this stuff.
I can see of it, it's beautiful.
Just Google Dragonlance modules and all the different covers will come up, and I think this is the first one, Dragons of Despair. That's the first one. There you go. It's a nice big picture of it. And
we don't get cover art like that anymore.
No, not very often. That's very true.
This is so full of life, and it gives you the sense of a grand adventure. Now you are more likely to just see, we have a dagger and a rose and a snake around it, and that's a book cover.
Yeah, it's just way too cryptic, I think. When you have these, rather, obscure things, just put together in a single image. Whereas, to have a, cover art which is essentially the first part of the world that you see, and once you see that world, that's it. That's kind of embossed. Really, it's almost an indelible thumbprint on your mind. And that's the world that sticks with you throughout these books and these adventures. So you've been given the world by somebody who actually has imagination, rather than these random things that are thrown together on covers. But I completely agree with you. I mean, a dagger and a rose and a snake, and they call that a cover? No.
Ziltoid Duh, who I think is new to the channel, mate. Thanks a lot for that comment on Stephen Donaldson, for reminding me. That Stephen Donaldson, who wrote the Thomas Covenant books, the main character suffered from leprosy. That's right, not cancer, leprosy in the real world. The first book was called Lord Fowl's Bane, and the series was called The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. The final book wasn't. Imagine that. It's a series. So he wrote the first book in 1977, the second in 1978, the third in 1979, the fourth in 1980. So he's doing like one a year, you know. And then we get to 83, where he does White Gold Wielder, which I think was considered to be the ending, from what I remember. And then that's right, because that was the second Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. But then he did the last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. The first one of them was in 2004. The last one was in 2013.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
So you're talking Game of Thrones waiting times. So in
Lord!
Wow.
In fact, if you were reading Lord Fowl's Bane in 1977, to get to the actual end of the story, you had to make sure you lived until 2013 to read The Last Dark, which was the final book. That's asking quite. That's a bit of a commitment there. Yeah, just to be clear, Proctophile, these are the adventure modules, not the books. And the Dragonlance adventure modules came first. They were first. I had all of these. Just see if we can get a lot. You see, I really loved. I'll tell you what, I really loved the cover for this one. This was here we go. The Dragonlance modules ranked. So someone's done an article on which is best. There we go. That's a great. I just love the way that this dragon was carved into the side of the mountain, and the whole reason that these adventure modules happened was, by this time you probably had about 30 Dungeons and Dragons adventure modules out, either for basic D&D or advanced D&D, and I mean most of us just bought them all anyway. But very few of them, if any, had dragons in them, and the game was called Dungeons and Dragons. But there's almost no dragons in any of the adventures that they'd released. So they decided to do an adventure specifically around, there'd be a different dragon in each adventure towards the end, that you'd either have to befriend or defeat, depending on which module it was. This is DL7, so I think there were 14 of these altogether. DL8, I think, was a war game of the battles that were all going around the world at that time. And you got like a hex map and counters. Again, I really regret selling all these, or whatever I did. I took them to the game shop, I think, and traded them for something else. But yeah, great stuff. It's the books, the trilogy of the books are okay, but the game modules were great, because I mean you were making the choices at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. You were going on an adventure. This is a great article here, so I'm going to put this article in the link for this article, written by Busybody.
I'll have to read that later.
Yeah, I'll pop that in there. So, Rach, is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to plug before we wrap this up? Let's cut back to your artwork at the end. Sorry, we went on a whole Dragonlance segue there.
Oh, that's fine. Perfectly fine.
I know you like your fantasy, so let's cut back to a cat covered in paint. Yeah, so cats are a big part of your life. I know Adele and Day is a massive cat fan, so. And Adele, if you're watching, Rachel and I are collaborating on something for you, but it's all highly hush. It's cat top secret. So Operation Meow. Can't tell you anything.
So that's Top Cat then.
It's Top Cat. It's Top Cat secret. Cat. Yeah. I'm glad you were here to
always available for puns.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So but anything else you want to plug or say before we wrap this up?
Well, just that I am working on new stuff all the time, and there might be new stuff coming to the Art Pal page here in a little while. I'm working on a series of cats. Everybody's surprised, I'm sure. They're not like my avatar there. They're more just cats, not anthropomorphic cats. I may go back to doing dogs for a little while. I think I've done cats.
The other big news, of course, is that you're dropping a book coming this Christmas. Your first fantasy kind of romance novel. We'll get you back on to plug that, but your fans can probably expect to get that this Christmas. And by me saying that, of course, what I'm doing is lighting a fire under your ass in order to get you moving to complete said work.
I need that. I need that boot in the butt every now and then.
It's now April. You can definitely do it within that time frame. Trust me, you can.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you can write a novel in 6 weeks if you really put your mind to it, and it's your full-time job and you're not doing anything else. But even allowing for other shit you've got to do in your life, I think between now, I think if you can aim to try and launch it December 1st, I reckon you can do it.
Honestly, I have one that's being written to be released in July. That is strictly a contemporary romance novel. That was just to tell myself you can do it. And I did exactly what you said. I treated it like my job, and I did 40,000 words in 2 weeks.
The Proctor file has said, let him know if you're up for more interviews. He's also another YouTuber. I mean, there may be a focus of that interview in ginormous arses within your art, something like that. That's very much what he leans into, but I'm sure you can make that work. But yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's got a little YouTube channel as well, and also likes to interview people. So there you go. The more the merrier. I think it's a good way to get your artwork out there.
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, well, gone over a bit. We go 72 minutes. So, but that's what happens when the inside man arrives.
Sorry about that.
You just never know. Just never know with this crazy guy what he's going to do. This is my favorite cat picture, by the way. I
love that one.
Yeah. By the way, how's Operation Cat coming? Meow.
Going pretty well so far. I'm starting on the sketches.
Okay, good. Don't forget the most important thing is to get that haircut correct. So.
Oh yeah.
So definitely not anything to do with someone I mentioned earlier. Right.
Oh no,
okay.
totally not.
Totally not. So as we said, it's top cat secret. All right. So that's it from the Outcast Creative Channel industry interview. I think this was 110, so 90 away from 200. Don't forget, if you're a creative, somebody who works in the creative arts, be it an actor, writer, novelist, you might be a producer of music, you might be a DJ or an MC, anyone who works in the creative arts, right across the board. We're always interested in talking to you on this channel, talking about your career, regardless of what stage it's at. As long as if you've got some history or you've got something you can show us, I'm always very interested in supporting people, especially emerging creators. But if you've also produced 10 seasons of Parenthood, I would love to get you on to hear about the wealth of your experience and knowledge within that particular chosen field. We are going to be back on Tuesday at 10 p.m. with the Nielsen ratings, my normal weekly chat show where one of my co-hosts is the Inside Man, where we talk about the latest Netflix and Amazon releases, as well as a really obscure Italian or Spanish film that the Inside Man has picked, usually from the 1970s, guaranteed to be something fairly shocking and violent. But it's good to get a cross section of different stuff. So until then, do spread the word about the channel. Remember, we're here to support creative people. We're doing something a bit different on this channel from any other YouTube channel. We also support other YouTubers. I'm always plugging other YouTube channels. I don't care how big or small they are. It's all about the karma of mutual support. That's what it's all about on this channel. So it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Fucking did it this time. Well done.
Outcast crew.